What's up, guys? This is gonna be a different video, as I'm sure you can see whenever I whip out the face cam. It's a little bit of a different video. This is gonna be a little bit more of a serious video. We're gonna be talking about some stuff today that has been on my mind a lot recently. By the way, webcam is up here because I'm using the clear one. Laptop screen is down here, so if you see me looking down here, I'm looking at the screen. If you saw the title of the video, you might know what I'm going to talk about today. I have some notes here, just so I know everything that I want to talk about. I'm going to be talking about Dokkantero today. If you don't know who Dokkantero is, basically he is a currently inactive Dokkan YouTuber who I was friends with about maybe a year or two ago. And I did some collabs with him and whatnot, part of his Discord server, and that plays a big role into this whole thing too. But basically, he is a Dokkan YouTuber, or used to be. He's kind of like on a hiatus. We don't really know if he's going to come back right now. But I wanted to talk about all of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today because of some recent events that have been happening to me in real life. Some of this stuff, right, is pretty bad. And unfortunately, when it comes to like a community or something of the sort, right, there's no real HR department that you can report stuff to. The HR department is you. So if you want to talk about this stuff and bring this kind of stuff up, you have to be the one to talk about it. So that's what I'm going to do today. So this all kind of came about once again, besides what I just said, because of what happened recently with Tero's Discord. If you aren't aware of what happened, I'm going to give you a complete description right here. I put it in my Discord, so if you are in there, you've probably already read this before. But if you are unaware of the situation, if you'd like to catch up completely, all of the text is on the screen. I'll figure out how to fit it in there. That is the complete description of what happened. I wrote that when everything related to that more specifically happened. For the TLDR though, basically Tero didn't respect the mods. He didn't respect all of the work that they put in, and he thought that we were doing a terrible job when we were the people running his server this whole time, when he was absent from all of this, and then he came back and tried to take control of this community that really wasn't his. Not only that, he disrespected us and said that we were running it into the ground. He called it a cesspool of filth. It was not a good time. For more complete information on that, though, I encourage you to read the text on the screen. Now, I want to talk about some of the more serious stuff. There's two kind of categories that have a bunch of little sub things, I guess, that are my main talking points here. One is Tero's interactions with myself and some of the other people on the server, mostly the mods, that are more sexually deviant in nature. So Tero, right, liked to joke around a lot with just kind of more sexual jokes, right? When you're with your boys, sometimes, those are the kind of jokes you make when it's just, you and your bro and whatever. But both parties have to be comfortable with that. And if both parties aren't comfortable with that, that's not right. And if one party is uncomfortable and they speak up, the other person should understand that they don't want to joke around like that anymore, and they should respect that. And even if they don't feel comfortable giving the reason why they're necessarily not uncomfortable, or they aren't comfortable, you know what I mean. they have to just, in my opinion, they should respect that, right? And they should be like, all right, well, if you want to talk to me about it, that's all cool. But if you just want to keep it that way, I respect your decision, right? And to me, it kind of seemed like that Taro didn't really respect that. There was a point before where I was kind of making these jokes back and forth with him that weren't, I would say, certainly to the extremity that he would take them sometimes. Um, and I would reciprocate, but in a lighter fashion. But once some events that, again, things that happened IRL took place in my life, my perspective and I guess just overall feelings about that sort of thing really changed. So I was just very uncomfortable with him making these jokes when he would return. And it just kind of seemed like that he didn't necessarily respect that. He'd keep going even after I said I was still uncomfortable. Granted, after a little bit of it finally maybe clicked with him, he asked was anything wrong, and then he stopped, but it just was no more talking after that. But he still kept going even after I said I was uncomfortable. And to me, that's just not okay. I think that, you know, it's just not all right, especially when the person is explicitly saying that they're uncomfortable about it, right? And again, if you're uncomfortable talking to the person about it, and understandably so, if this person is making you uncomfortable with these kind of jokes, right, you're not going to necessarily feel comfortable telling them why if it's a reason, related along those lines, right? Because you can't really trust them if they keep going with these jokes that you explicitly say you're uncomfortable, right? So there's that, which is it's hard for me to like say all this too because I like Taro and I wish no harm upon him, but I can't sit by and just not talk about this stuff. And that goes into my other point. With this video more specifically, I'm doing this more so for me, even though the next point I'm about to talk about is things that have happened to other people. But the decision to make this video was all me. If you read that thing where I described about the whole moving discords, we talked about how that decision and that whole little text paragraph or whatever was from all of us. I was the one who wrote it, but all of the mods worked together to put it together, right? And that was an effort that we all did as a unit. This video, though, this is all me. I'm the one making the decision to make this video, and I'm the one who is, putting this into fruition. Now, on to the next thing, like I said, this relates to some other people. Taro's behavior as well wasn't always the most appropriate. There were two cases where he asked if he could, I don't know how to put this without saying it just bluntly. I guess we'll just say have sexual interactions with two of the moderators' mothers. And he was asking if he could date them and some other things that were not quite appropriate. And especially to some of these moderators, right, that are in this server. And some of these people, like, they're kids, right? And this stuff isn't okay to say, even if you're not a kid, you don't want anybody talking about your mother like that. But especially if you're a child, this kind of stuff is not okay. I'm going to read you a testimonial from one of the people that this happened to. I'm going to keep everybody anonymous. And that's the other reason, too, why I'm not showing screenshots, because I want to protect everybody's privacy. And again, this video is my idea. And some people, didn't really want to make a big deal out of it or talk about it necessarily. And I'm sure some people don't want their messages being shown. So to protect everybody's privacy, I'm just going to leave that out of this video. Now, let me read you this testimonial here. One day I was VCing with Taro and some other people. Now, keep in mind too, the other one happened in text chat, but this testimonial from this person, this happened while they were in a voice call, or not the voice call, what are those called? In Discord servers, the chat room or whatever. With some other people. It was pretty chill until he started a conversation about the N-word. God knows for what reason. At the time, my mom called me into the house for dinner, so the subject of her came up. I explained that my parents were on a break of sorts. Excuse me. Tara decided it would be a fan-friggin-tastic idea. Sorry, just the way you worded that was funny. Taro decided it would be a fan-friggin-tastic idea to tell me to hook him up with her, a relationship with a married woman he knew nothing about, who lived across the country. In a later VC, with his then girlfriend. Not only did Taro ask one of the other people in the chat to let his girlfriend suck Taro off, he did the same to both the other person in the chat, himself, and he told us to let him bang my mom. At first I didn't think much of it, being a 14-year-old fresh out of middle school, but with recent news, yeah, it was something a human should never say. So, obviously this stuff is not okay. It's never okay for that to happen in the first place. Really, even suggesting that sort of thing is just kind of not really the best thing to do. Going that far is not okay in my book. So I had to talk about this. I had to get it out there because it's like, it's really this drive that comes from a lot of things that are going on with me in real life, that I have to just let people know that this is happening with this. You can do with what you want with the information. But again, there's nobody I can report this to, so I have to report it to all of you. Anyway, the other main talking point I wanted to talk about with Taro is that he is manipulative. There is a lot of different examples of this from things that he's done all throughout the past whenever he's popped back in the Discord and so on and so forth. But I want to give you a specific example that happened the most recent time, okay? And let me actually pull up exactly what he said. So when we were leaving the Discord, right, we talked about that again in that message in the beginning. I was one of the people, right, who kind of spearheaded the message of, you know, hey, everybody, let's leave, right? We're going to get out of here, and so on and so forth, right? So essentially what happened was we had a moderator chat in Taro's server, right? And all of the moderators were in there, of course. When all of this was happening, right, of course, everybody was ablaze because that's how, you know, things are when this sort of things happen. And Taro removed me from my moderator status in the server, okay? So I could no longer see the moderator chat. Now, keep in mind, as all of this was going on and we were doing this huge move, right? I was talking to all of the other mods, right? So obviously I could hear what was happening and, you know, people could post screenshots and whatnot. So it's not like I couldn't see it, right? I don't know if Taro was aware of that or not. Either way, though, I was removed from the moderator chat. And as soon as I was, Taro was basically saying, you know, I understand Theo's side on this, obviously, because I was the person who sent the initial message for everybody to dip. And then he was like, but, you know, I don't know how the rest of you feel about this, but, and then he just kind of explained, you know, how he felt about it, which was just more of what we talked about in the overall description of the whole move thing. Afterward, right, people were talking about me a little bit, and Taro said, Just wait until Theo doesn't need you anymore and he throws you away. First of all, that hurt a lot coming from him because I used to have a lot of respect for Taro, and I saw him as a friend. Not only that, I strive as a human being to never, ever do something like that. If I, have a problem with somebody when it comes to, that sort of thing, I do my best to talk it out with them. And if it doesn't work, then, we split ways. But you try and mend bonds if you can. But if it's such an extreme case, right, then you have to do something bigger. But the weird thing about that was, too, I don't really know what he was referencing by that. Because there wasn't really a point where I could pinpoint that he was even talking about that, because I never, obviously would do that to him or to anybody, really, that specifically. I know you might think, oh, this is doing that, but no, it's not the same thing. This is obviously explaining what happened, and that's referring to, being used as, a object or tool. I don't know. We just sort of fell out of talking after a while. I'm not sure. But some people came to my defense, which I was very grateful for. Thank you guys for doing that for me. Some of the mods, you know who you are. But the reason why I say that specifically, right? So remember, I was removed from the moderator chat. And then Taro said that about me. Wait till he throws you away when he doesn't need you anymore. After that, then, not 5 minutes later, I get a DM from him on Twitter. If I hurt you in any way outside of today, I am truly sorry. That is so manipulative. You're literally removing me from seeing you trash talking me, and then you go and apologize. I don't want to say apologize behind my back. It's trash talking behind my back, and then apologize without me being aware, quote unquote, because obviously I saw it, that was happening. Now, granted, he did say anything outside of today, I am truly sorry, but nonetheless, though, of course, because he was, I'm sure, not happy with everybody leaving, right? But that kind of thing is just so twisted, It doesn't sit right with me at all. So that's everything I wanted to say about Taro specifically and his behavior. Before I end the video, I want to make a couple of things clear, right? This video isn't to attack Taro, right? And I know that might seem like kind of a backwards thing to say, considering everything I just said. But this video isn't me calling a raid on Taro or for you to go attack him or something like that. It's simply to share what happened. Because again, in situations like this, unfortunately, there's not a higher power that we can report incidents like this to, right? We're responsible for what happens in our community. Therefore, we are the people who must take charge of this, right? So I just want to get this information out there so people are aware. And as well, I don't want history to repeat itself. I don't want this sort of thing to happen again, whether it's Taro or anybody else. And I hope that by getting this information out there, that this prevents that, or that prevents this. Wait, this prevents that from happening. There we go. Sorry, I got tripped up there. And to Taro specifically, I hope that you can learn from this situation, possibly grow from it, see the error of your ways, and, become a better person because of this. I don't know if we'll ever be able to be as close friends as we once were. Someday, maybe it is possible for us to become friends once again. It might not be the same bond that it once was, but, you know, someday I hope we can be cool like that. Either way, though, I wish you the best of luck. To the viewer, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I know these videos are a little bit more hard to digest, but again, I just wanted to get the information out there so that people were aware. Thank you for watching, guys.